In April 2026, Hiromu Arakawa, the woman who created Fullmetal Alchemist, released her first new anime in over a decade. The series is called Demons of the Shadow Realm. It premiered on April 4th, 2026 on Tokyo MX. It is animated by Bones Film, the same studio descendant that gave us the original Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The opening is by Vaundy, the ending is by Yama, the score is by Kenichiro Suehiro, and almost nobody outside of Japan is watching it. This is a problem because Demons of the Shadow Realm is structurally the next Fullmetal Alchemist, and the audience is missing it because the marketing budget went elsewhere. To understand why this matters, the original Fullmetal Alchemist needs context. Hiromu Arakawa published the manga from 2001 to 2010. The first anime adaptation in 2003 was rushed because the manga had not finished. Brotherhood, the second adaptation in 2009, faithfully adapted the entire manga. It is, to this day, the highest-rated TV series on my anime list. Arakawa, after Fullmetal, went into a long writing period. She published Silver Spoon, a quiet farming manga, then disappeared from the spotlight for nearly a decade. Demons of the Shadow Realm, which she began serializing in Monthly Shonen Gangan in December 2021, is her return to genre fiction. It is also, by every measurable structural marker, the same shape of story Fullmetal Alchemist was. Twins separated young, with prophesied abilities, traveling through a politically broken world to reunite. While the world tries to use them as tools, the DNA is identical. The execution might be even sharper. The plot of Demons of the Shadow Realm is deceptively simple. Yuru and Asa are twins, born in a remote village, born with the ability to control supernatural creatures called demons. Most humans cannot see demons. The few who can usually control one, Yuru and Asa control multiple as children. They are separated by a political force that fears their abilities. Yuru is taken east, Asa is taken west. The series follows their parallel journeys back toward each other. Each twin grows up in a different country, develops different powers, learns different politics, and walks toward the same reunion. The world they have to cross is a fractured shogunate-era Japan reimagined with Daemon mythology grafted on. It is brutal, it is beautiful, it is shot like a film. The animation is what hooks viewers in the first episode. Bones Film made the controversial decision to animate Demons of the Shadow Realm with hand-drawn keyframes at 30 frames per second for combat sequences and 24 for dialogue. That choice sounds technical. The visual effect is the most fluid combat animation in any anime this season. The fight sequences in Episode 3, when Yuru first invokes her primary daemon, have already been broken down by veteran Sakuga critics on Twitter. The consensus is that nothing else airing in 2026 looks this good when it actually moves. The music is the second hook. Kenichiro Suehiro, the composer, scored Re:Zero and the Rurouni Kenshin reboot. He has a specific signature: slow, low, mournful strings that sit under dialogue and surge during emotional moments. Demons of the Shadow Realm is the most restrained score he has ever written. There are entire episodes with almost no music. When the orchestra finally enters in Episode 4, under a flashback to the twins' separation, the moment hits like a physical event. The opening performed by Vaundy is called Tobu Toki, which translates to Time to Fly. The ending is by Yama, called Tobo Yo, Let's Fly. The naming is intentional. Both songs are about flight, about reunion, about returning. The framing tells you exactly what the show is about before the first episode plays. The reason Demons of the Shadow Realm is being missed is that it premiered into the most crowded spring 2026 anime season in living memory. JJK Season 3 is airing. Witch Hat Atelier is airing. Frieren has a sequel arc in production. Several other heavyweight adaptations launched in March. Demons, despite Arakawa's name, did not get a marketing campaign comparable to those titles. Crunchyroll listed it. Crunchyroll did not promote it. It is currently sitting at number 18 on the global streaming chart, well below Witch Hat Atelier at 36, and JJK at the top. This is a ranking problem, not a quality problem. The viewership pattern reveals the gap. Among the hardcore manga readers who already knew Arakawa's work, Demons of the Shadow Realm is the highest-rated premiere of the year. On Nico, the Japanese streaming platform, the show is number 1 for the season. On MyAnimeList, the early episode scores are sitting at 4.5 out of 5. The disconnect between Japanese reception and Western reception is enormous. The audience that should be watching this anime simply does not know it exists. The political layer of the show is also worth noting. Arakawa's storytelling has always been about systems. Fullmetal Alchemist was, at its core, an indictment of fascism dressed as a fantasy adventure. Demons of the Shadow Realm is doing the same thing for a different system. The fractured shogunate the twins are crossing is a deliberate metaphor for borders, for the fragmentation of governance, for the way ordinary people get used by political machines that do not see them. Yuru and Asa are tools to one government, weapons to another, refugees to a third. The show treats that contradiction as the actual story. Most fantasy anime is about the chosen one. Demons of the Shadow Realm is about the chosen ones who refuse to be chosen. There is also a quiet, deliberate craft point that fans of Arakawa will recognize immediately. Arakawa writes women who are people first and characters second. Asa is the Eastern twin. She is angry, she is reckless, she is grieving, she is funny. She is, in short, a person. Western anime has spent the last decade trying and failing to write female protagonists this dimensional. Arakawa just does it. Asa might be the best written female lead in any anime currently airing. For the wider industry, Demons of the Shadow Realm is also a quiet statement. Arakawa has just demonstrated that one of the greatest writers in manga can release a new series and have it land at number 1 in Japan and number 18 worldwide, because the streaming algorithms simply did not push it. That gap is going to drive industry conversation for the rest of the year. Studios that have spent the last 5 years competing on flashy CG fight animation are watching a hand-drawn samurai-era fantasy outcraft them at every level, and the audience is not seeing it because the recommendation engine prioritized JJK clips. For the audience that does find Demons of the Shadow Realm, the experience is the same one Fullmetal Alchemist viewers had in 2009. A story written by a master, animated with care, scored with restraint, that earns every emotional beat over 24 episodes. The show is currently airing 2 course straight, meaning the entire first arc finishes by autumn 2026 with no break. By winter, the conversation will catch up, the clips will start traveling, the reaction videos will arrive, and by the time everyone realizes what they were missing, Arakawa will be deep into the second arc, drawing the next great anime of the decade while the rest of the medium tries to catch up. Watch Daemons of the Shadow Realm. Now, stream it on Crunchyroll. Same day English dub. The next Fullmetal is already airing. Most viewers just have not noticed yet.